Hi, welcome to my third tutorial for Unity 3D. Based on the second tutorial I made, it is right here, and it's a text-based clock. And sometimes text-based clock is just boring, so we want to make use of those two texture images. One is a clock background, the other one is clock foreground. Now we want to make use of them to convert this text-based clock into a graphical shrinking horizontal bar-based clock. So the first thing we need to do is select the clock object we created before, then double-click on the clock script. We open it, then add some new variables to it. First one will be a variable called %. We will use this variable to record how much time has elapsed. Also, we need to create some variables to contain the clock texture images. One is clock background, and the variable type should be texture 2D. And don't forget to put a semicolon after that. Another one will be clock foreground with the same variable type. And also we need to define the maximum width of the clock. Clock foreground max width. Capitalize this W. Clock foreground max width, and this is a float. And press Ctrl plus S on your keyboard to save it. Now go back to Unity 3D in the hierarchy category. Click on the clock scheme object and find the script that is attached to this clock object. Now you can see our variables are shown here: the %, the clock background, and the clock foreground, also the clock foreground max width. And they don't have a value now, and we will give them values later on. So go back to the clock script. In a function called countdown, we need to calculate the % in terms of how much % the time has elapsed. So the time remaining is here, so we know the % should be equal to time remaining by start time, and scale it with 100. Now this % variable stores the ratio of time remaining over total time. Make sure we get it correct. Then in function start, right here, we give a value to clock maximum width. Clock foreground, right, clock foreground max width equals clock foreground width. So initially the width of the foreground is equal to the width of the clock foreground texture image, because no time has elapsed yet. The next step, go to the onGUI function we created last time. Well, we didn't use the onGUI function last time because we only used GUI text, but this time we are going to create this function. It's a built-in function called onGUI. you can draw any GUI you want within this built-in function. So we have a new variable called new bar width to track the current width of the foreground. And it equals to % by 100 times the total width, which is clock foreground max width. And also we need to create a gap. We will explain the purpose of it later on. Actually, it's a spacing variable to help us position the clock to make the interface nicer. And now we're going to work on the GUI we want to draw. So start with this function GUI.begin group. It will define the area we want to work on. New rectangle. Screen the width minus clock background the width. Also subtract this gap. This gap clock background the width. Well, the okay, so this rectangle defines the area we want to work on. The first parameter is the x position, and the second one is the y position, and this one defines the width of the rectangle, and also we need to define the height of the rectangle. And that's it about the definition of the work area. And also we need to match it up with endgroup function. So between those two statements, we can do the drawing. The first step is to draw the background. It works as the clock frame. Draw texture function. And also here we have a rectangle, and it starts from the origin of the rectangle we defined before, and draw the width is the background width, and the head is the background head. Besides this parameter, we also need to specify which texture image we want to use drawing this picture. So we specify that text image by clock background. And also we want to begin a new group for the foreground. So pretty much the same with before, begin group, and specify the rectangle. So it starts from we'll make it inside the background area. So we offset it by a few pixels, say 516, and specify the width. You need to notice that this is not the width of the initial foreground. It's changing as time goes on. It's a new bar width, but the head is never changed. So it's clock foreground the head. And here's a rectangle. Here's a group working area for foreground. Also, as a convention, we need to match it with end group. And now work on the draw texture part for the foreground. So another definition of a rectangle starts at the origin, head, and specify which texture image we want to use. In this case it's clock foreground. And it seems we are finished with this task. Then let's go through it again. So first we define the group for the background and draw the background picture. Then we define a new group for the foreground within the background group. And then inside this foreground group, we draw the foreground texture. And the width of the foreground group is changing as time elapses. So click, press Ctrl plus S to save this script. Go back to Unity. I've worked with the script. It's done. Now we need to specify the texture we want to use for those two parameters. For the, we just perform a simple click and drag operation to associate texture image with variable. Yeah, it's probably the work we need to. Okay, one more thing. For this GUI text, we don't want to use it anymore, so we uncheck this checkbox to disable the appearance of it. Now, you can see here's the error. Let's double click. Let's click it, then double click this report to go to the place where the error occurs. Now we notice the new bar width. This W is not capitalized, so we go ahead and correct it, save it again. Now the error is disappeared. Then let's go ahead and run again. You see, the background is the same all the time, but the foreground is shrinking as the time elapses. And I hope you enjoy this tutorial, and this is about it for creating a graphical clock. Thank you.